Hello, world of YouTube. My name is Fishy, and I'm gonna start doing video blogs. Yay! None of you care. That's fine. If you do end up following me, I am gonna warn you now. I cuss like a goddamn motherfucking sailor, so if you're not into cussing, not the channel for you. But if you're into cussing and you're cool with that, hey, welcome, hi. So who am I? I'm Fishy. How the hell do you get named Fishy? Well, it helps if you can find yourself a Renaissance festival and pull out an accent that they'll use for you down there. And then that's how you get a name like Fishy. Well, I mean, there was more to it than that, but yeah. So why am I video blogging? Lots of reasons. You know, maybe to secretly become famous. Who knows? Everybody gets found on YouTube nowadays. I don't think I'll get found, but if I do, hey, cool. So I guess the main point of this is I am trying to fix my health. I am 29 years old. I have a whole host of issues, but the one I want to talk about the most, that this is kind of going to be a fixation on, is my first and foremost problem that I'm dealing with, and I'm actually having one right now as I'm filming this, are migraines. Yay! And I know some of you are sitting there going, oh, she has a migraine and she's sitting here filming a video about it. Like, that's, you don't really have a migraine. No, I do. I just took some Excedrin and it's keeping me upright. It's keeping the pain tolerable right now so that I can actually sit here and talk and do things. But it hurts. It's throbbing. Mine are behind my left eye. So this guy, so right here right now, this hurts. So if I periodically like put my hand up to my eye or something, it cuts off the light, it puts pressure on it, and that kind of helps me get through the pain. Also, sorry for the shaky camera. I'm holding my phone while I'm doing this, so if it shakes, that's because I am poor, and this is the only way I can do this. Yay, lack of technology and funding. Anyway, so migraines. So let's start with how this all began for me. First and foremost, my father, who I don't call my father, I call him Ed because he was a terrible human being. That's a different story. But Ed had migraines. So he had always dealt with migraines since he was a kid. So I am the only one out of his 3 children who was lucky enough to get migraines. And I can tell you when it all started. I was 10. I'm 29. 19 years of migraines. I was 10 years old. And it was 3 days of living hell. It was pure hell. And what would happen was, and I didn't understand what was happening either because I'm 10. And while I had been exposed to a lot of things in the world through TV and stuff, this was not something that I've ever been brought up. So the first night was, I think it was the left side. And I felt like my eye was, you know, in serious, horrible pain. My head hurt really bad. And at the time, I never said anything to my parents about what was going on. The 3 days this happened, never said anything. But I ended up just going to sleep because it was the only way I could deal with the pain. And then the next day, my eye was crusted shut because I cried so much in my sleep from that eye that it crusted shut. And then the next night, it was the right side. Same thing as what had been the left side, but it was the right side now. And same result in the morning, eye crusted shut. Third night, I thought I was dying. I literally thought my head was going to explode. I thought this was it. This is the end. I'm not going to live past 10 because then it was my entire head. And I, again, didn't say anything to my parents. I just went to sleep. And when I woke up the next day, both eyes crusted shut. Could not open my eyes. It took me a good several minutes before I could get my eyes open because that's how much it had crusted shut from all the tears. And now, mind you, at the time, no clue that these are what migraines are. So the first time, oh man, the first time it happened to me in public, I think I was 11 by this point, so, but I was still in 5th grade. So this is just like a little bit after I had turned 11. And we were doing an Ellis Island reenactment. So basically what they did, we had 5 5th grade classes. And we had 3 classrooms on one side and then a couple other classrooms. And then in the 2 classrooms, they, you know, the rooms had divider walls, so you could divide the walls, but then if you wanted to, you could take the dividers out, so they became one room. So in the 2 classroom room, we did that. And then they shoved the 5 fifth grade classes in there. It was dark. Well, it was sort of dark. The lighting wasn't great. It was hot because there's all these bodies in there. I was dressed in black from head to toe. I was wearing a black dress with a black sweater, a black shawl on my head, and I had a baby doll with me. And we had to go through the process of trying to get through Ellis Island to come into America, or got shipped back to wherever we were coming from. And so I had the baby doll, and they were like, oh, your baby has a fever, you have to go over to the medical area. I was like, okay. Now at this point, I was in pain. My head was starting to hurt. It was loud. It was crowded and hot. And earlier that day for lunch, we had French toast sticks. And I remember that very, very vividly, that we had French toast sticks. One, because I was really excited. Oh yeah, French toast sticks. But because of what happened next. So I make it over to the medical area. I'm talking to the lady. Now, again, remind you, I'm 11. And I'm talking to the teacher. And we're talking about the baby, but then she looks at me and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna throw up. And she quickly pulls the trash can over, and I proceed to just vomit right into the trash can. You know, and there are other kids sitting around me during this while I am puking into this trash can. So they finally decide, oh no, she's actually sick. They pull me out of the thing. I'm gonna assume I never made it through Ellis Island because of this. And they took me up to the nurse's office, and I remember laying there in the nurse's office on the bed thing, and I was pressed against the wall, and I was shaking and crying, and my eye was just hurting. My mom finally came and got me. I had to go back down to the classrooms that ended up housing the kids that made it through Ellis Island, and you know, everyone was concerned, and I had to go grab my stuff, and so I went home and left. And yet we still didn't know those were migraines, what was happening to me. We just called them my eye headaches because we didn't know. They were just my eye headaches. And they were bad, and they happened frequently. Like, they happened a lot, and it got worse too once my period started. Once I went into middle school, my period started, migraines were just constant. And my migraines are slightly different than normal migraines, I guess. I don't get auras. That's something they always ask me is, ooh, do you get the auras and the colors and the flashes? And no, I don't get any of that. What it is just the pain behind the eye. And then I become super sensitive to light, super sensitive to sound. Another time, I was older, I was a teenager. You had to understand, my mom had never dealt with people who had migraines. And even when she and Ed were together, she still didn't understand what migraines were, and she didn't take them seriously because he ended up faking them to get out of doing things with her, going to events with her. So she didn't take them seriously. She didn't understand. So there was another time as a teenager when I was babysitting, and I got a migraine, and I had to bail on the babysitting, and she came to Boulder to get me. And it's a 20-minute drive from where I live at that time in Boulder, for where we were. And she comes and she gets me, and she's playing country music. Now, first and foremost, I hate country music, and she knew that. And so she thought, you know, I was getting on her about country music, because down, you know, as we're driving, I'm telling her I need her to turn the music off, and she thinks I'm just bitching because it's country. So she starts yelling at me, which is not helping my migraine. It's making everything worse. I'm having to yell back at her. We finally get home. I run upstairs and proceed to puke. So my migraines are bad enough that they will cause me to throw up. And the reason we even figured out they were migraines was because one night I was watching the news, or I was watching the TV, and there was a promo for a news story, and they were like talking about this sensation of feeling like you're being stabbed in the eye with an ice pick. And I was like, oh shit, that's exactly what it feels like. And that's when I found out I was having migraines. And then we took me to the doctor. Fucking useless. The fucking most useless person I ever dealt with was this doctor. So her first thing was just take some Advil and take some caffeine. Well, that wasn't enough. And then it became, okay, well, here's some migraine medicines to try. Except the problem is with migraine medicines is they're preventative measures. So you take them before the migraine, okay? Well, because I don't get normal migraines, like everybody else. I don't know that they're happening till they're happening, until they're just already there and it already hurts and I'm already in pain. So the medication is useless at that point. Oh, my doctor, she got infuriated talking to me about my migraines. She got to the point where if I brought up that my migraines were still bothering me, she just had this look on her face like, God fucking damn it. Like, I don't want to talk to you about this anymore. And she literally told me the only thing to do was, well, take the medicine, and if that's not working, just take more Advil, drink a Mountain Dew. That's her solution. That was her solution, was take some Advil and drink some Mountain Dew on top of your meds. Also, I was very upset because in the recent years I found out that putting me on birth control, which actually ended up, they put me on birth control back when I was in high school, that helped regulate my migraines. Actually, it helped cut down on the frequency of my migraines. It helped cut down on like not necessarily the duration, but like, or the intensity, but more so like how many aftershocks I had, as I call them, because I would still get mini migraines after the big first initial one. I cut down on that a lot. But they didn't tell me, or she didn't tell me, that by having migraines and putting me on birth control, I heighten my risk for stroke. And as my family has a history of stroke, you know, it was a big deal. I didn't know any of this. I didn't know any of this until I went to Planned Parenthood and they informed me, oh yeah, no, that's weird that she put you on this and didn't tell you that you could get strokes from those. It's just like, oh, that's cool. Great, thank you. But the birth control helped with my migraines. And they're terrible. One of the worst episodes I've had, I made it to a dark room, a dark space, buried my head under the pillow, and every few minutes I was getting up to throw up. And it got to the point where I could not get out of the bed anymore to go do this. So I had to, and I'm gross. I throw up in the sink because I just don't like the splashback from the toilet. I know people tell you how to deal with it, but I just don't do it. So I throw up in the sink. And so it got to the point I just couldn't keep getting out of bed to go to the sink. So I just slept by the sink. And by the fifth time I'm throwing up, it's nothing. I'm dry heaving because even all the bile in my stomach is out. And then I, fell asleep on the floor in the dark by the sink, and I had no clue where I was when I woke up. I was very disoriented, and yeah. I mean, that's my life, is I have to have access to a dark room when this happens. I have to have access to a bathroom when this happens, because in case I throw up. And it affects so much of my life. It affects my ability to work. It affected my, abilities in school. Oh, it made me really angry one time. I ended up going to a class with a migraine. And again, I put my hand over my eye to deal with the pressure, or to deal with the pain by putting pressure on it and cutting off the light to keep the irritation down. And I was sitting there, and I was just in agony, and like my hands like this the whole time on my head. And I would occasionally close my other eye, and I was just, in agony. And the professor had the audacity to give me shit and say that, if I wasn't sleeping in class, paying better attention. And it's like, I'm not sleeping, dude. I'm in fucking pain. Like, I don't need to be here listening to your bullshit, but I have to be here listening to your bullshit. You don't need to be picking on me. You don't know what the hell this is. You're not even asking me what's wrong. Why are you covering your eye? You're just telling me I'm sleeping in your class and humiliating me in front of everybody else. Good job. Good job. So, again, what is the point of all of this? I've been watching a whole host of documentaries about health. I've been watching stuff about why we're fat, how to lose weight, how to reverse diabetes, how to cure cancer, like all these things. But the one thing I am not seeing any sort of thing on. They get mentioned occasionally in these documentaries. They just get mentioned, but they don't get addressed. There's no, at least that I have found, that's easily accessible on Hulu or Prime or Netflix. When you type in health documentaries, nothing comes up in relation to migraines. They'll bring up stuff related to the brain and how you can use your brain to do all kinds of crazy things and how to make your brain super amazing, all that, but they don't talk about migraines. What causes migraines? Because I've been told so many different things about migraines, I don't really know what is true about migraines anymore. And I want to know what's the cause of migraines and what can I do to completely rid myself of them. Can I completely rid myself of them, or is this something I am going to literally have to deal with the rest of my life? And I'm aware that it's going to involve changing my diet, which I'm already working on. It's going to involve exercising more, which I'm already working on. But I think what I'm really going after is finding that definitive, how the hell do I get rid of these, and how can I help other people get rid of these? You know? And it's going to take a lot of experimentation at the end of the day. And I realize what my results aren't going to work for everybody, because everybody's body chemistry is different. We all have different nutritional needs. But I just want to find what works for me so that this doesn't have to be part of my daily life anymore. So that I don't have to try and figure out if I'll be able to do something. Because my migraines, the triggers are numerous. There's so many. It ranges from my hormones to the barometric pressure drop of the weather. Like if a storm rolls in, I'll get migraines. It depends on whether I've slept too much or too little, if I've eaten too much or too little. Certain smells, I can't go to this particular Christmas store my mom loves to go to because I get a migraine every time I go in, because whatever fragrances they're using are enough that they trigger my migraines. One of the worst smells that I hate, and I found out will also trigger my migraines, is the smell of black licorice. And I found that out one day when Ed decided he was going to make pizzelles, and you typically make pizzelles with anise, which is not black licorice, but it smells like black licorice. And so he made these, and it permeated the whole house. It's a 2-story house. It permeated the whole house, and I instantly just got so sick. And there was another time he did it again, even though I'd explained to him, that makes me sick, he still did it. And it's just like, okay, well, first and foremost, fuck him. Secondly, this is not something I can be around. So it really actually vindicates my whole hatred of black licorice. I'm like, it's gross tasting and it'll give me migraines. Fuck you, black licorice. But yeah, so I'm gonna kind of use this as a way to start tracking my health better. Because I suck at doing the journaling, because everyone's like, yeah, journal, write down stuff. I'm like, it's physically painful for me to write, because my brain moves too fast. My hand can't move fast enough, and it's all chicken scratch. I go back, try to read that shit. I'm like, I don't even know what words I wrote, because that's how bad my handwriting is. But, I talk fast, and I can communicate my thought processes better this way, so we're going to do it this way. And again, this isn't necessarily for me to get viewers or to get people to be interested in me or to be famous. If this somehow gets picked up by something, cool. I'll talk about other stuff here too, and I'll do other stupid shit on here too, because this is kind of going to be an outlet for a lot of things. But yeah, the first issue I'm going to talk about and deal with and try and work on the most is these migraines, because fuck migraines. And I know there's so many other people out there that suffer from them. It's awful, and I feel bad for the ones. I'm lucky in that my aftershock migraines are not as bad as the first initial one, and that they're painful, but they're not going to make me puke. They're not going to cause me to need to hide. It's just they're there and throbbing and just sucking. Whereas, I have friends that days they'll be laid up in bed, because that's how bad the migraine is. And I just want to figure it out. I just want to help others like me and help myself, because I miss out so much on life when the migraines hit. Like I've had them happen at really inopportune times, at parties. I've had migraines happen. Sophomore homecoming. Oh man, that was fun. Yeah, no, I had to deal with a migraine for sophomore homecoming. And I paid for the dress, and the boyfriend at the time, he had dinner planned and everything. It was not something I could get out of, and it was just fucking terrible for the first few hours that we were doing like dinner and everything, and I was trying so hard at dinner not to throw up. Like trying really hard not to throw up. And then we had to go dance, and it was just like, oh, this is the worst fucking thing ever, but it's my sophomore homecoming, so here I am. Yeah, it just has ruined and interfered with so many things in my life. And then I have other health issues too, like IBS and depression and anxiety. I may be an undiagnosed PTSD sufferer, because researching that, it sounds like that's something I might have due to traumas in the past, of course. But yeah, I'm hoping by trying to fix the migraines, it'll help fix a whole host of other issues I have. And again, it's going to be diet, and it's going to be exercise, and it's going to be changing my mental processes of how I think and cut down on the negativity. And actually, one thing I've done recently is deactivate my Facebook account, because I just couldn't handle people on there anymore. You can't have an opinion without people getting pissed off at your opinion. And it's just like, you know what? I don't need that here anymore. It's just, I can't deal with this anymore. So on here, I get it. People are probably going to troll me on here too, and people are going to get on my case on here too for whatever I end up advocating for, but this isn't for you. This isn't for you guys necessarily. This is for me. And if you help benefit from whatever is going on with me, cool. That's great. You know, but if you're just going to be there to be an asshole about it, why? I mean, what's going on in your life that you need to rain on others' parades to help you feel better or whatever, or feel powerful? I mean, if you want to make fun of this, fine, that's fine. But I'd rather you be wanting to be more a part of a solution and contributing more positive things. Because I'm not looking to start fights with people on here. I'm just looking to get my health in order. And if I can help other people get their health in order with information too, you know. So, I don't know. Yeah, so we'll just see how this goes. This is just an introductory thing to what I'm trying to do with myself and what I'm planning on doing with myself. And yeah, so I'll document stuff as I go, whether it's eating or exercising or whatever. I might end up throwing up a video of me working out on here or whatever, because I've been doing the Diamond Dallas Page yoga, DDP yoga, and I just recently took pictures, because I started, like, seriously started back in August, had gotten the stuff in July, but didn't really start doing stuff till August, and even then it was not as committal as it is now. Excuse me, but I've lost 10 pounds. Excuse me. And I can definitely see the changes in my stomach and my legs and stuff from doing the yoga. So I'll post probably workouts from time to time, because physical activity is important. Although I am going to say this, there are some migraine remedies I'd like to dispel. I don't know, maybe they work for other people. They do not work for me. The ones that I don't find very helpful are the ones where they tell you to go exercise. Exercise, that'll help with your migraine, because you're going to get the blood flowing. It's going to help the blood vessels open up. It's going to be great, because that's what's causing your migraines, the constriction and all this stuff. And it's like, I've done that. I've done the working out on a migraine. And let me tell you, you want to puke faster? Go work out while you're on a migraine. Like, oh my God, I damn near died the one time I decided to do that. And I think I either did the treadmill or the bike, I can't remember, but oh my God, it didn't help. It just made everything throb more. It made me want to puke more. It did not help. The one that I'm really sad doesn't help is sex, because they kept saying, you know, if you have the orgasm, that helps with the release, and that'll help you feel better. No, that one's a lie, at least for me. Let's see. Yeah, those ones don't work. Drinking more water, that one doesn't help. I don't like taking caffeine, but I have to take caffeine to help combat the migraine. Like I said, right now it hurts, but I'm upright, because otherwise I'd have to be buried back in my bed here, head under the pillows, you know. Actually, One of the few things Ed ever got me was a great investment because it ended up being great for migraines. Was it's like a Snuggie, but it's actually a heavier material. It's called a Slanket. So yeah, it's a blanket with sleeves, but it's great for my migraines because I freeze during my migraines. So it's got the sleeve on it. So then that way my arm will stay warm while I've got my head buried under the pillow and I'm pushing down on my head with my arm, so it keeps me warm. Yeah, it's weird what I've had to invest in to make myself comfortable during migraines, and it's weird the remedies that people suggest. The only other thing I found that kind of, it doesn't get rid of it, but it helps a little bit was my friend taught me like a pressure point thing. So if you push down like on the about the center of your head, you want to push straight up and down on it, and then at the same time massage your temples. That helps a little bit. Not much, but it's enough that it gives me enough of a pain dampening feeling that it's enough that I can go lay down and not feel like I'm gonna throw up. Doesn't cure it, but it helps. So I'm gonna experiment. Diet, exercise, massage techniques. Yeah, so this is daunting. And putting this out there on the internet is also daunting. But what better way to keep track of my progress? And I don't know, I guess I'm gonna just be a human experiment for this and try different things. Because it's not fair. It's not fair that so many of us have to suffer this way and just get told repeatedly by doctors that there's nothing they can do, just take some pills and some caffeine and call it good. That's not okay. It's not. So, alright kids, well, this was my introductory video. Sorry it's so long and rambly. I feel like that should be my theme song, Ramble On. Because I'll talk for fucking ever. It's just what I do. But yeah, so we'll see how this goes. Introductory video. Yep, so yeah, see what happens, and I'll talk to you all later. Fishy out.